understand AWS, DevOps, and AI more clearly. So, with that, Faye, we're thrilled to have you join us live at the event today, and I am very much looking forward to your presentation.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm very happy to be here. So, my talk is going to be all about building AI ready teams, skills, and programs that deliver results. First of all, I've got a quote for you. So, despite 30 to 40 billion in enterprise investment in generative AI, 95% of organizations are getting zero return on investment. And that's according to a report from the MIT, their State of AI in Business report from 2025. So I wonder how you feel about that within your own organization. So which do you feel are the biggest barriers to AI success in your organization? Maybe it's cost or return on investment. Maybe it's to do with risk. Is it to do with data quality? Maybe it's technical complexity of it all. Or maybe it's something else. Well, when I think about AI and the drivers for success, I've identified three different things. So the first one is identifying the right use case that's aligned with your business strategy that's actually going to generate a return on investment. Data, of course, is the fuel for AI and it's your differentiator because nobody has the same customers as you. Nobody has the same data or the same products. It's really AI, the data that you feed into AI that's actually going to give you that competitive edge. And then I think the last piece of the puzzle is trust. And under this umbrella, ethics, transparency, proper risk controls, and doing things responsibly. But the one thing that actually ties all of this together is skills, because getting it right is only possible with an effective upskilling strategy, and having the right skills in your organization is going to help you with all of those things. So in this session, we'll talk a little bit about AI hype versus real capability, how to identify AI skills gaps, prioritizing AI skills, so mapping skills across roles, technical and non-technical, structuring your upskilling program, how to build a strategy that's scalable, and making learning stick, what skills we all need to stay ahead in 2026 and beyond, and what's next, how to go from strategy to action. The reality of AI today is, of course, it's moving faster than many organizations can keep up with. Pressure to act is everywhere. Most AI efforts are failing to scale, but the skills gap is the real barrier. And it's capability that's the differentiator rather than the technology. So the ability to identify the right problems and the ability to deliver responsibly. So real success comes from building that capability, not just adopting tools. And let's explore how to do that, how to move from curiosity to capability. And then the final piece of the puzzle is, of course, verify what AI produces as well. We don't believe everything we see on the internet, nor should we believe everything that AI tells us either. All right, so many customers that we speak to are stuck in AI curiosity. They've got urgency without necessarily a clear direction. And we see organizations saying, we need AI or we need an agent, but no clear direct plan. With AI often driven by the fear of missing out, which is not really a strategy, and without having a defined business problem. This leads, of course, to lack of measurable success. How can you measure the success of something when you haven't even defined the problem? And lots of experimentation, but without any real meaningful outcomes or capability building. So what does it look like when organizations move beyond this? Well, for me, strategy builds success, and anything that you want to be successful at or actually achieve in life, it all comes from strategy and planning. So thinking about where are we now? What do we actually want to achieve? And then defining how we're going to get there. So if we map that into an AI skills building strategy, that first starts off with identifying the AI skills gaps within your organization. Common obstacles for many enterprises are that there's no visibility of current skills, roles are evolving faster than a moving target, and people often overestimate their own AI skills. So to address this, one of the first things that you can do is evaluate your workforce's current skills across their job roles. And one way to do that is using skills assessments. So actually using assessments to properly evaluate their skills. So in that way, you can understand the current skills that exist within your teams using real objective data. And this is going to enable you to identify the skills gaps across technical and business roles. Work backward from your business goals, because to discover great use cases, leaders need to be proficient at strategic AI decision making. So they need to understand what AI can be used for and what it can't be used for. To deliver AI solutions, technical teams need to know how to build, configure, and support AI solutions. And to deliver on enterprise efficiency, non-technical teams need to be confident in applying AI in their daily work. So when it comes to prioritizing AI skills, focus on what matters, because you can't focus on everything at once. One thing that many organizations want to start off with is AI literacy across all roles. I mentioned earlier that decision makers need the ability to identify the right use cases, so we know where to invest time, where to invest money. Cloud, data, and security foundations are all essential to getting this right. You still need solid foundations, so this is no time to forget about the kind of core IT skills that everybody needs. Think about prioritizing role-specific technical skills. For instance, technical people might need to understand RAG techniques, fine-tuning models, model evaluation, not forgetting human skills and critical thinking, because we don't want to be over-reliant on AI and unable to spot hallucinations and bad results. And finally, prioritizing continuous learning over static skills. As it's a moving piece, this is not a one and done activity. Now, roles are changing right now. According to Gartner, AI is already boosting employee productivity by 50%. Roles will evolve, but they won't disappear. They're just going to continue to change. So teams need to expect an evolution of their roles. And learning as a skill has never been more important, as we are all required to be more adaptable, to learn, unlearn, and relearn, and that being an ongoing. So what does that actually mean for developers, engineers, knowledge workers, and leaders? Well, what we see is a shift in skill set towards higher value tasks, as we spend more time being architects or leaders rather than doers. So overseeing what AI does and evaluating outputs instead of doing all of the mundane, boring, repetitive work. So my advice is lean into areas that only a human can excel at, and always avoid AI without having a critical eye and an analytical opinion about it is really going to be a trap. So when it comes to thriving with AI, it's really important to understand its strengths and its limitations. It's not the answer to everything. Adapt quickly by learning relevant technologies. Be ready to work effectively with new tools. Always bringing context, ethics, and empathy to technology. And blending AI with human expertise. Trap of asking, how much AI are we using? Instead, leaders should be asking, do teams have the skills to instruct, validate, and take responsibility for work that's produced by AI? So when it comes to structuring your upskilling program, focus on role-based learning pathways so that you can align training to the unique needs of the roles within your teams, blending theory with hands-on practice so that learning is practical and outcome-driven. Be sure to provide safe environments for experimentation, sandbox accounts, for instance, that are isolated from production, so that no harm can be done when people are just learning and experimenting. Use assessments to benchmark and validate progress. Certifications can help build confidence, as well as instilling best practices so that they become second nature, and also helping everybody to learn to speak the same language, but always aligned to business outcomes. Now, successful learning programs are intentional, they're data-driven, and aligned to business goals, so with clear business problems defined, aligned to a strategy, and with a data-driven view of skills, using measurable outcomes measured over time, and building capability across teams that are aligned to team function. Now, when it comes to building a scalable strategy, success really comes from culture rather with continuous learning, not one-off training. So I said earlier, learning and unlearning and relearning. Leadership also taking part in this, so role modeling learning and leading by example, so that teams and everyone in the organization feels a collective responsibility for contributing to the delivery of the company's vision. So here's a few examples of what you can do to help build out that continuous learning culture. So you can use events like learning days, lunch and learns, webinars, for instance, when you invite an external expert to come and speak to your teams, collaborations through knowledge sharing within teams, mentoring, so pairing less experienced employees with experts to promote knowledge sharing, and things like hackathons to introduce a little bit of competition and generate some new ideas within the teams. Incentivize people with rewards like public recognition, link learning and skills development to career growth. Provide opportunities. For instance, if somebody has attained a certain skill set, ensure that they can be part of new exciting projects that actually require those skill sets so that they can start using those in action. Hand out gifts and prizes to motivate people to continue developing their expertise in the areas that you need. All right, so what skills do we all need at the moment? Well, for leaders, things like AI governance, ethics, and risk management are really important. General AI literacy, so understanding what AI can and can't do, an understanding of what agentic AI is, and model context protocol, or MCP. So this is all about systems that actually take action, that can integrate with APIs or integrate with knowledge bases, etc. And then not just doing a Q&A function. AI output verification, so AI working best as an assistant in many business use cases. When it comes to engineering teams, this is all about, hands-on practical expertise. So being a AI with AI agents, build with P, and automate workflows and execute tasks. For instance, think of an agent that's able to rebook a cancelled flight or something like that. You can build that kind of system using AI agents and MCP servers. RAG or retrieve with your own custom data sources. For instance, your own product documentation, ensuring that you reduce hallucinations and improve accuracy. What about small language models? So smaller language models that are much more tailored to specific domains can be more cost effective, and they can also be, not forgetting AI cloud infrastructure and operations, or AI ops. So once you actually build these systems, of course, you've got to support them, maintain them, ensure that they're fit for purpose, deal with disaster recovery, cyber recovery, etc., etc. So those core cloud skills are not going away. And we all need the ability to evaluate AI, really, verify its output, and make sure that it's operating securely and reliably. Now, AI changes everything, but it's really the organizations with very strong foundations in cloud, in data, in security skills, and that are really going to benefit the most. Because if you have mountains of technical debt, or if your data is not clean, then AI is only going to expose those issues and make them worse as you come to rely more and more on your data. All right, well, cloud native skills are still vital for most of us. Don't still have access to huge data centers filled with supercomputers. So we're all relying on the cloud provider to enable our AI adoption. So skills like architecture, cloud architecture and strategy, infrastructure as code and automation, because we want to make sure things are done consistently and not done manually. And an understanding of how to operate AI and data workloads. So key skills being running AI systems reliably, securely, managing cost, performance, and scalability of AI and data workloads in production. Not forgetting ethical AI practices, AI governance and accountability being one of the most important AI skills to have for 2026 and beyond. So balancing innovation with compliance. Addressing hallucinations, so identifying bias in data, in models and in outputs. Transparency and explainability of AI systems, so explaining how AI systems actually make decisions. And this is all about building trust. And human in the loop design as well. This is also about responsible deployment, deciding where humans need to remain part of a decision-making process, oversight, review, and fallback mechanisms, and preventing, blind reliance on AI outputs. So if you are a leader or a mentor or a senior engineer, my challenge to you is to make it your mission to identify your future superstars. So think about who's your next data analysis expert or AI superstar, and start creating some development objectives and introduce some protected learning time and incentivize your people to develop the expertise that you need in your organization. All right, so to get started, of course, define the business problems first. For instance, you might be thinking, well, we need a solid foundation of AI literacy across the organization. Establish the current skills benchmark baseline in order to identify the gaps according to each role type. Prioritize your high impact learning. Start small and then iterate, because it's not a one and done thing. And of course, celebrate your successes. So build a culture of curiosity and continuous learning. Be sure to measure what's actually impactful for your organization. And it's not necessarily about activity. For us, it's about outcomes. So some of the kind our customers measure success with are things like improved productivity, shorter project timelines, reduced number of errors, faster troubleshooting, and crucially, reduced recruitment costs. And we found many customers find that they're able to fill internal roles when they upskill their people, helping people move from non-tech to tech roles, or even to reskill completely, moving from tech roles into leadership roles. And of course, higher skill assessment scores as well, if you are measuring the skills of the people in your teams. We also see great self-reporting on positive outcomes, like things like increased proficiency in a chosen skill, increased ability to troubleshoot, increased ability to coach and mentor others, greater work satisfaction, greater confidence, and the ability to apply the skills they've learned on the job as well. All right, so my upskilling strategy essentials are, of course, identifying the business problems, assessing current skills across roles, prioritizing gaps based on the business need, measuring meaningful outcomes rather than the number of hours watched or the amount of activity being done, and finally, building a culture of learning. Well, that's it from me. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Well, I really appreciate that wonderful presentation. For everyone that's listening in live, you have a Q&A box right in front of you. For any questions that you have, type them into the Q&A box. Faye will be joining us on our next Q&A panel in just a few minutes, and we'll get to as many questions as we can on this next panel.